Howdy, everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite animals and going into detail about one of my favorite animals, or one of my second favorite canid is the African wild dog, the dog of many names. They go by many different names for a few different reasons. Based on their location, they're called different things, but it's the African wild dog. African wild dogs are also known as painted dogs because of their unique pattern. They're also called painted wolves, which is what their scientific name translates to. Their scientific name is Lycaon pictus. I believe that's how it's pronounced, which means painted wolf in Latin. But I've also heard them called Cape hunting dogs and African hunting hounds and a couple different other names. But they have way too many names. But basically, they are a medium-sized canid, native to Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, and they are very unique in their patterning and their look because they have a tricolor pattern. They have tan, black, and white all on the same animal, and every single one of their patterns is unique as our fingerprints are. They live in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, places like Tanzania, Kenya, different African countries in that region. They live in large packs, anywhere ranging from as small as like 6 to some over 30 individuals. And they live in a pack structure where there's a dominant pair, and they are the only ones who breed each year. And their litters are very large. I think the largest of all canid species, if my memory serves. They can have up to like 12, 15 puppies in one litter. And yeah, they're really cute when they're little. They're born like almost all black, and then their pattern sort of comes out as they age. They're born just black and white, and then they sort of change color as they age, and their pattern comes in, which is really neat to see. They're one of my favorite canine species, and as I said, they live in structured hierarchical packs with 2 leaders. Now, usually what happens is with their pack structure is a group of dogs will break off from their pack. A group of siblings will break off from their birth pack and then leave to start another pack. And what they'll do is they'll meet up with another group that has left, or try to go to another pack's territory and entice other dogs that are of the opposite gender of them, and then they'll form a new pack of their own. Like, it'll usually be like a gang of brothers or a gang of sisters and a gang of sisters that will band together and form a pack all together as one, and then work as a team until the lead male and the lead female of each of those connecting groups will pair up and become the dominant pair of the group. And yeah, they're just one of the most interesting animals I've ever known and studied, and the one I know most about of the list that I put out on my page. The African wild dog is the one I know the most about, just off the top of my head without looking it up. But yeah, and the way they hunt is also interesting. So the way that they hunt, well, it also kind of depends on what region they're in, because different regions have different prey availabilities and different terrains and all that. But usually they are endurance hunters, which is they don't lay an ambush like, say, a lion will. A lion will sit in grass or by a water hole and just wait for something to walk by and then get as close as it can to it, and then boom, the chase is on, and that chase is very quick. It's either successful or it's not. But the African wild dog, what they'll do is they'll team up and they'll get on a target and they'll run that target until they'll either run that target in a circle and chase it into a trap where other dogs will cut it off, or what they'll do is they'll just run the prey down if they can, because they have the endurance that a lot of prey animals in Africa don't have. Impala, gazelle, kudu, whatever that may be. But yeah, a lot of prey animals will counter this by running into water, which can be a blessing and a curse because the dogs are afraid of water. But the reason the dogs are afraid of water is because there is the ever-present Nile crocodiles, which the dogs don't want to meet, and they'll sometimes lose their prey to Nile crocodiles because the prey will run into the water to escape them and into the jaws of the crocs. But yeah, they're also very interesting because their vocalizations are very different. Like, you think of a dog, you think they bark, or they howl, or they yip. African wild dogs don't do hardly any of those things. The closest thing they do to a normal dog is they will do an alarm growl, where if they see danger, they'll make a growl sound. But other than that, their vocalizations are very these twittering chips or twittering noises that they make, and when they get really excited, they will all run around each other and just make these really high-pitched twittering noises, and it's a fun sound. It doesn't sound like, if you just heard the audio, it would not sound like it's coming from a dog. It would sound like it's coming from a type of bird or something else. Yeah. Something I also want to cover is something that helps their endurance that I mentioned before is their big ears, because they have these big circular ears, kind of like Mickey Mouse ears, I guess. They've got these big circular ears, and that can help cool them down, because a big thing with nature is their ears are full of blood vessels, same with things like elephants, and when the air hits their ears, it cools the blood that's in the ears, which then spreads throughout the body through the bloodstream and then cools the entire animal because of it. But I think African wild dogs, off the top of my head, have the highest hunting success rate out of any other African carnivore, just based on their cohesion in their hunting efforts. But yeah, they're also kind of known for their rivalry with hyenas, rivalry, if I can speak, their rivalry with hyenas. Spotted hyenas, which are another top predator in Africa. Hyenas are 1-to-1. If it were one dog versus one hyena, the hyena would win every time. But the African wild dogs will team and gang up on the hyenas and drive them away, because the hyenas will try to steal the dog's kills. I see a lot of. I always get a little bit annoyed when I go to a zoo and I go to the African wild dog exhibit, and people are walking up and like, look at the hyenas. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to bite my tongue at that, because the difference between the two is so obvious to me that one is a hyena and one is an African wild dog. But it just kind of drives me nuts. I don't like it, but yeah. Yeah, African wild dogs are one of my all-time favorite animals, and I know a lot about them. They're part of the reason why I passed my zoology class in high school, because I made a presentation about them. But they're also very misunderstood. Another reason why their name was changed from African wild dog to painted dog, is what they started calling them, is because when the general public, were to hear about these dogs in Africa, they would hear wild dog, and they would immediately think wild as in dangerous, wild as in all these evil things, and would think vermin, would think livestock killers, would think all these things. Now, I'm not saying that African wild dogs don't kill livestock, but not as much as other species. But that was just blown way out of proportion by the public, and people started hating the dogs and hunting the dogs, and of course for their pelts as well, probably because of their, unique markings. But yeah, they are, due to hunting and habitat loss, they are critically endangered. I think there's only about, the last number I read was 6,000 left, if that, in the entire world, in the wild. I think I can't remember if that's total or just in the wild, but I know that they are incredibly endangered, and I would hate to see them leave this earth in my lifetime. Yeah, I wouldn't want to see that happen. Yeah. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. I'll try to insert images and videos as this video plays intermittently, just to add to it and give visual representation. But sorry, I'm cracking my knuckles on the table. But yeah, that's one of my favorite animals, and I wanted to talk about him in a video. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, y'all.